motor singing and them grandstands ringing. It's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. Out on the dirt ovals we play, life in the bright lights with no shades. Letting her go, letting her rip, letting her fly, tossing her in sideways, living the life, letting her ride, eyesight, winning to die. Cross her up on the cushion, crossing the line, cause some drama and some bullshit they didn't like. And if they don't like the move, then we're ready to fight. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. This is how we roll. This is how we do. It's not for everybody but the chosen few. And we pray, cause we know that they might not ever come back. But this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do. We can ride high, we can ride low. We can ride anywhere we need to go. We can ride all night up to the morning, as long as we make the show. We can be the best or we can be the worst. We can be the best thing you ever heard. With the motor singing and them grandstands ringing. It's hard to put it all in words, but this is how we ride, this is how we do. Riding mud, sliding up higher in the groove. Don't give a damn about the cash we're spending. With the time we got, we choose to play it on the go, to stay out on the run. We all high, wild, and handsome. Ain't telling you what's right or wrong or what to choose. Hey, but this is how we do. This is how we do.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are here today. Oh, yes, the music's still going. We finally got the music going. We don't have the lights. Now we got the lights. What are you going to do about that? Nothing. That's what I thought. Anyway, lights are off. Music has went down, and we have a very interesting show here today as we have football in the background, but we do have Turkey Night on the television. The Turkey Night is on the television. And the other night we were here on the show, Sean, we were getting really messed up on the show, were we not? We were yelling, screaming, throwing things. And we were talking about the PA Posse series, the PA series. And while we were talking about the PA series, we stumbled across the Oil Capital Racing Series that they got going on for next year and their plans. And we started looking at it logically, and it's $25,000 to win their championship. The drop off wasn't that bad in comparison to the PA series. They ran basically half the amount of races, and they're starting the season with a 20,000 to win show. So we decided to follow up on this and follow up with a person who's probably going to know a lot of the answers to a lot of the questions of everything, and that is Robert E. Lee. No, I'm just playing. It's not Robert E. Lee. It's Robert Lee, correct? You're not a part of the South Rising again, but you are a part.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's just stick with Robert Lee. We'll go ahead and stick with that one.
Because Robert E. Lee, he's the bad guy, right? He or something. That's a bad guy, right? That's the Dukes of Hazzard.
Well, it depends where you're from, if he's good or bad.
I think for politically correct purposes, we need to say he's bad. I don't listen to David Allen Coe. I haven't done it in a very long time.
My middle name's not E, so we'll just go ahead and steer clear of that one.
Okay. E or Allen. That's good. So this OCRS deal, who are you? I mean, we put down here OCRS series director, Arrowhead race director. A lot of people have heard of Arrowhead Speedway over the last few years. Seems to be one of those established or one of those facilities when people see like a drone shot or something like that, they're like, wow, where did this place come from? I know there's some decent facilities around there, but it definitely looks like head above shoulders compared to most. Who are you? What are you? Apparently, series director of OCRS, but it seems like there's a relationship with Arrowhead as well. So, what is this whole group? I guess I would call it.
Well, so originally I came on board to replace there was actually a real established race director that Arrowhead hired when they came in and they redid the track. So it used to be, I mean, it was a place I was around when I was a kid, but I mean, it was a rough place, had rocks, you know, it was junky. I remember, you know,
what was the name of the place at that time? What was the name originally of this facility?
It used to be West Salem Speedway, and then it went to Flint Creek Speedway and changed hands a couple times, but it was your normal regular dusty redneck dirt track. You know, my dad used to pay $5 and we'd back in the truck and we'd sit in the back of the truck and we'd just be sitting there watching the races outside the fence. And then it got bought around 2020, 2021, somewhere in that area, and completely got redone. So there's not a piece of equipment, nut, bolt, no nothing on the facility now that was there before. You know, and we've got, you know, 90 paved parking spots, fully air-conditioned bathrooms, and all the suites. Super nice facility. And I had just taken over in the spring, and yep. And then what had happened, I kind of came from the open wheel background, you know, that Tulsa area, you know, spent a lot of time at Port City and had relationships with a lot of these guys that had stepped up from micros up into sprint cars, and they kept wanting to run at our track because all the other tracks around us would cancel. You know, if it rained and it was, you know, 48 hours before the race happened, a lot of these tracks would cancel, and they liked our facility with the progressive banking. They love racing out here. So we, all year, other than what the original OCRS had scheduled, any other time they ran with us, those guys had less than 36 hours. They would be calling and were like, hey, we're going to race tonight. Sometimes it was less than 8 hours notice. And these guys would still show up with 15 or 20 cars. Every time they came out, they put on a kick-ass show. So that gave us the idea.
Well, and you're saying, hold on, so you're saying this series in particular, because OCRS has been around for a very long time. I mean, I can remember it, you know, back to the small mini wing days when it was, you know, a strict 2-barrel, it was kind of a weird class, I guess. but they always called it two-barrel sprints, carbureted sprint cars up there in Oklahoma with the little skinny wings, the 5x5 or 5x3 wings. Some
Yeah.
pretty good drivers came from that style. But it was a big, regional series there, mainly in the northern Oklahoma, central Oklahoma region. State Fair Speedway had a lot of them there in Oklahoma City before that went away. But when that went away, that kind of killed the central, it seemed like car counts, and that kind of killed the overall two-barrel. If you look at it from a 10-year perspective, from when State Fair Speedway closed to, where OCRS is now, or two-barrel sprint cars are now, that kind of was the beginning of the slow decline, it seems.
Yeah. No, it was one of those situations where we were going to end up, after they started popping in, when we invite them last minute and they showed up in the fashion they did, and they were so grateful. They were like, and I don't expect this to happen every race next year, but every time they raced with us, all of them, super nice, grateful. That's not something I was used to. So when you hear it from other people, like, hey, I'd like to do this more from this side of things. And we were kind of building our own sprint car deal to run weekly. And then when we got presented with the option to go ahead and acquire OCRS, it was a no-brainer because it's a legendary name. You don't want it to die, and it gave us a chance to actually maybe give these guys some money they deserve, but still keep their cost the same. That's the big thing a lot of these guys are going to like next year is the extra money they get for less investment.
Oh, and of course, we were talking about the PA series. This series, obviously, having a pretty stout. What is it? How many people are actually getting paid in this championship? Is it 15, 10? I couldn't actually make out the graphic. The graphic kind of cut off at the bottom of the screen. It goes to the 15th. Sorry, we got it all the way down to the 15th position. It's a pretty solid drop off, especially for a regional series, especially for something that's a 305, two-barrel division. What made y'all go with this route to basically pay like one of the best points championship purses in the country, especially for regional sprint car racing?
Well, we kind of already knew we had the backing with partners that wanted to do more for the drivers, and that was one of our big motivations, was to do stuff because all the ownership, we've all been racers, we've all been part of it, we all understand, running for a full points championship kind of sucks, sometimes, it's a grind. So if you can give those guys, some type of motivation to do it, it's a little easier to swallow. I don't know what the champion got for winning this year, but it's probably going to be on the lower end, probably in that 11th to 15th place as far as what we're doing next year.
Right, and I see you even have a rookie of the year as well, a top 3 in rookie of the year. Have y'all received interest from people outside of the traditional 305 two-barrel community? I mean, even when you look at ASCS and what they're doing, and even Power I and what they're doing, of course, that's 410s and 360s, but we made the note of it the other night. When you're running a 305 or a two-barrel for 23 races versus running a 410 for even the same amount, I mean, they'd have to do an engine rebuild at the end. 305 motors, no matter how you want to talk about them, I mean, they are pretty durable and lasting for a very long time. And 360s obviously do a better job than 410s lasting. But I would have to assume, that region's kind of, I would say, tossed up in the air right now on what to do sprint car wise. 305s got very popular in that whole area at one point. 360s had their reign. It seems like there is a push to bring 410 racing back to that area strongly. But for the people who live there, I feel like when you go 410 racing, you're almost hoping you have to bring drivers there. There's not like a big hotbed of 410 racing happening there weekly. but there are a lot of 305s, and the 305 and the two barrel especially are some affordable classes. I would assume you have a lot of interest from people once y'all made this announcement.
Yeah, it was actually real surprising. There was a series that changed hands up in the Kansas area, and we had a lot of guys wanting to run with us. And then I know for a fact there's a couple, I've heard of a couple names that are ASCS racers that were talking about coming to run our full schedule just because it made more sense for them financially. Everybody's, there's a lot of people, you know, especially if you've been doing it a while, you're aware of the landscape changing right now. And this makes sense for a lot of those guys.
Well, and there is somewhat of a push, you know. I know a lot of people nationally, they kind of want to see a 305 and a 410 kind of represent sprint car racing. I don't know of too many people on the global side of sprint car, national side of sprint car racing that like the fact that there is 360s and 358s in this class and that class, and there seems to be somewhat of an under pushing to kind of, you know, let's just make sprint cars 305 to get introduced and then 410s to race at high levels. Obviously that area down there, I mean, this is a mixed series. It's two barrels and 305s. Is there any like pushback in that department? How does that 305 and that two barrel sprint car actually race together well? Is it competitive? Is there advantages, disadvantages, etc. that y'all have noticed or heard back from?
They're actually, and that was one of the things we had kind of done our homework on. And you look over everything, you know, and you can go through the seasons, and it's almost dead on a 50-50 mix. You know, it was actually really surprising. And
technically, a two barrel should be more powerful, correct?
It depends who you talk to. I mean, you got guys that swear by those 305s.
Well, the 305 is injected. I believe the two barrels are 358s, 360s, or what's the actual rule on those? It's a very odd engine package.
Yeah, I've actually got I can pull up the exact rule set. So one of our things, we didn't change any 368. So we didn't change anything. We didn't change anything on any of the stuff when we took over. So all the rule sets is the same. You know, that way if they got to run that the last couple of years, it's the same thing.
And so what is it? Is it a 358, 360? I keep slipping my mind on what to keep it.
368.
A 368?
Yeah.
Okay, so what brand would that be? Is it just bored over, or?
That's just the maximum displacement.
Okay, so they're 360 engines technically. Just call it that.
Yeah.
But they're 360s with a two barrel, and the two barrel versus the 305 with the fully injected, there's supposed to be some gray area there. I would be concerned if I was a 305 guy if we got on a half mile. But you know, the tracks down there, you know, traditionally don't stay hooked up all the time. They slick off. Pretty technical most of the time. So I could see how that injection with the 305 and the two barrel with the 360 would kind of even out. But is there tire rules? What's the tires? Are you on hockey pucks? Is there open tire rule? What's the situation there?
No, it's not open. So you can run that, you know, that ASCS, that medium right rear. You can run a race saver, or you can run an American Racer, the J5J. You can run that one as well. Okay,
but you're saying 50-50 down the middle. That's pretty crazy for a three.
No, it's been real steady, and it's almost, you know, you talk to the guys, everybody's got their own thing that they kind of swear by too. It seems to work. The only thing that we had kind of looked at, you had a couple people complain about this big wing that's on them, but we're not going to change any of that because the racing's been so good everywhere we've seen them. There's no reason to mess with something that's working, and you don't want the guys to have to buy new stuff. It doesn't make any sense. It would be dumb because two people complained about it, but you guys that run every week haven't said a word about it.
And what do you mean big wing? Are you saying there's still the traditionalists that want the little 5x3, or what do you mean?
Yeah, no, that's exactly it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't mind those wings. I mean, I think the racing with those wings is entertaining. But it just doesn't fall into a premier division look, if that makes sense. Like if everything but a 410 had that wing on it, then okay, you could see it as like a stepping stone division. But yeah, the baby wing, it may race good. And it probably would make it a little more even, but it just doesn't look like a sprint car in a way. It looks like a downsized version.
Yeah, and for us, you wanted to take everybody's, opinions. You want to take information, see how you can improve on it. But the reason, we jumped on it was because the racing was kick ass every time it come to our track. Within, you had a lead change within the last 3 to 5 laps every time, and it'd be dumb just to change something because somebody said something, but we still wanted to absorb that information, if that makes sense. Any information you can get, let's look at it and see if it makes sense. Let's do it. If not, let's leave it alone.
Well, it's cool that you have the tires kind of open and out there. You can kind of do whatever you want with the tires in a way. At least you have some options. You're not locked down to a Hoosier or certain sets. I would assume, just thinking about the motor situation, if somebody came along and built a 2-barrel engine with outlaw money, I think you might have an issue there. Or do you know people who do that already?
I'm sure there's people that do it on both sides.
Well, I know there's some expensive 305s, but how many people are actually putting big money in these 2-barrels?
I don't know. I hear some people say that's a waste to do that to a 2-barrel, and you're better off doing it on the 305. Our goal is just gonna beat them. We're gonna have to just make sure Tech's real tight on that stuff, and that was probably the biggest thing we kept hearing, was to make sure that stuff's in line and enforced.
Well, I would assume that you have more logistical numbers wanting to race with y'all with a 305 under the hood. It's the more nationally raced class. That 2-barrel deal is legitimately been Oklahoma engine package. I ain't really seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, everybody that's been talking about coming to race with us they've been a 305. That everybody that's been wanting to come down, even these ASCS guys, they were like, yeah, I already got I got a 305 sitting in the back, and I've been kicking ass in my 305 every time I unload it. He goes, it'd be dumb for me not to show up to these races.
Right, and it's only 23. And speaking of that, you are kicking off the season. That's another thing. Not only do you have this impressive points fund, but then the first race of the year is $20,000 to win. That's at Arrowhead. Is Arrowhead kind of going to be like the home base for this whole thing? Is that obviously you are a part of it, but is this supposed to kind of be like that track? There's not too many other areas where a series is kind of entangled with a track to this degree. But to open the year with a 20,000 to win race, on top of the series being what it is, I'm assuming there's a lot of interest in this weekend alone.
Yeah. So, and here's what happened with the, Arrowhead is on there a lot. We had there's a ton of people that just love the track. Some of them said if you made the whole series there, they would show up. But, if you're going to take the series and you want to stay with what it was, the only reason there's these extra Arrowhead dates on there is because there's a couple other tracks that were on the schedule previously that either didn't want on there or would never return calls or not doing anything. So if there's a track that was on the schedule last year that's not on there for this year, it's because they didn't want to or they wouldn't return calls. So it made sense just to go ahead and plug it in for Arrowhead, and then we built in a rainout date. And the rainout date's just going to be for, obviously whichever track it is. If they can't fulfill it, we'll still do the rainout date at Arrowhead if that track can't take that date.
Right, but just in particular here, you're starting the year with a 20,000 to win show. I mean, and that's a single dayer. You're not doing a 2-dayer. I mean, you got to practice the first night. but then you're racing the next 20,000 to win, 1,000 to start. What's the response on this? I know running a full series by some of these people who are maybe from out of town or traveling or something like that. That may be difficult for some, even though the money's too good. But in an event like this, with this amount of money on the line, I would assume that y'all are getting a lot of traction on this.
Yeah, that deal, it's something we were working on even before OCRS, and then when this came together.
Because this is the biggest 305 race to date. I don't know. Is there one bigger or?
I don't know. We were just focusing on doing that, and then a few weeks later we have that high limit race. And when that high limit race came in, all of a sudden our King of the Wing interest, quadrupled, because there's high limit guys. Even if it's in a 305, it sounds like those guys still want laps around the track. And there's going to be people really, really surprised. I've been shocked at some of the phone calls I've got.
What do you mean? Like Aaron Reitzel's? What do you mean? Brad Sweets, Rico Abruz? I mean,
I don't know their names. I can't remember.
You're lying. So you're good at lying. No wonder you're a series director.
I knew
you're 3 steps away from being Brian Carter and Brad Sweet. Keep it up.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
anyway,
I don't know if you heard what Cody Sommer said on our show last night. He is not a Brian Carter fan. My God, I didn't know Darth Vader was that bad.
He made that pretty clear, didn't he?
Oh God. Oh man, Cody Sommer hates. I mean, hate's a strong word, but I think that's the right word for how Cody Sommer feels about Brian Carter. He hates him.
I don't think there's gonna be a misunderstanding there.
Oh no,
but
he was. I mean, whatever grudge was built there with that. I mean, he's like, he's a liar, and I got proof that he's a liar. And if we're gonna have sprint cars at the Dome, it's $1 million. But if it's Dirt Vision, it's $2 million. I was like, holy shit! What did you do, Brian?
Yeah, no, that was a bad deal there. I don't know what happened. So, but that that King of the Wing thing is gonna be awesome. I thought it'd be fun to have something like that for the 305 guys, and that's why I keep pushing the deal, trying to build that OCRS page, and I think it'd be even cooler if I can get all the guys in for free on it.
Yeah, I saw that. I think it's even it's in one of these posts right here where it says free entry to the 20K to win. You're trying to get, I guess, this page up to like 10,000 followers. It's at 1.4 now. What did it start out as? What was it when you got the keys?
It was at 900 like 2 weeks ago. But what we're trying to do, if I can get it to 10,000, King of the Wing will be completely open to every driver. So there will be zero fee. And the way this is going to benefit our OCRS guys, if you have perfect attendance, you will have no entry fee that next race at Thunderbird, Lawton, Arrowhead. As long as you retain perfect attendance, you won't even have an entry fee at any of those.
When you said any of those, you're talking about the races of the season, or what do you mean any of those?
Yeah, so say, for example, you enter King of the Wing. If you go race that next race at Thunderbird, you're not going to have an entry fee. If you show up at Lawton, you're not going to have an entry fee. And Arrowhead, like if you retain perfect attendance after King of the Wing, there won't be an entry fee for the driver.
It's only when you miss a week, and then after you miss a week, say you go to Arrowhead, you go to Thunderbird, you go to Lawton, and then say you go to Arrowhead, but then you miss Caney, then the next race you would have to pay. You're back on. So.
Yep, and you go ahead and just pay your regular entry fee. Yep.
And you would have to for the rest of the year because you screwed your perfect attendance up, I would assume.
Correct. Yep.
So it seems like it's about participation. Is that the heart? I had this big explanation the other night with PA being a front gate mentality. And I think that the rest of the country is forced to work on a back gate mentality. They don't really depend on the fan bases most of the time to make a profit. And I utilized y'all's example here as, PA guys, it may sound crazy that these 305 guys are going to start racing for just as much as you, and there's 20,000 to win shows and stuff, but this is also just how they may get away with paying little or paying a lot for the front gate crowd. I feel like you almost have to invest this amount of money to, reignite an area and get the participation and do the things like what you're talking about, free entries and no entries. Like most potential, front gate business areas would hear what you're saying and be like, this guy's crazy. But it seems like that's what you have to do to, like I said, reignite some of these areas back into the racing forefront.
Yeah, you gotta. I mean, the big focus, especially with a couple of us around here being racers, you want to take care of the racers, and and it sounds dumb, but like a free entry means a lot for a lot of people. I mean, it's a big deal. People start talking. You start talking about tow money, and you shift it $20-$40 one way, and you would think, you burn the pallets down. So any of that stuff you can do to help the racer, give them an opportunity, especially your dedicated guys that show up every week. If they don't have to pay an entry fee, but if they don't have to pay an entry fee, they end up showing up every week. They're going to probably make more than the champion did last year if they show up every week.
Well, but that's still like, is it that back gate mentality? Front gate mentality is like, here's what I'm paying, do what we tell you. If you don't show up, bye. That's the mentality for front gate people, I feel like. There is, and it's turning nationally. I think a lot of people are, especially with the help of streaming, which I do believe y'all have y'all's own streaming entity here with y'all's series and everything. But I do feel like people are starting to care more about the racers on the national scene to try to attract racers or to attract front gate draws. Even you see that even on the top levels. I mean, if they don't have a roster that's going to attract a front gate, then they're screwed. So they're almost having to appease drivers and teams just so that they can get a must-see attraction driver into the building, which is why I think you see like PA in certain areas putting on these events. It's to appease the Maccaries and Dietrichs and make sure that they're there and getting all the names in the building at the same time. So both sides are kind of taking care of the driver, but I think it's for different purposes. I feel like in areas where you're at, it's more so just to have a class survive or to have a B main is like a victory, for a lot of the areas of the country.
Yeah. The whole thing was built around taking care of the drivers, making sure they're paid. But you talked about getting the big names in, and I remember Cody last night, that's why he was kind of set on having to have a sanctioning body. And I agree with that to a point, but we've gotten some big names without a sanctioning body. Now what they're doing is a different level. It's a lot bigger risk. But with this pull and you do the right race, I don't think it's required either.
Right. Well, and once again, Cody, he was mad at Brian Carter, but I'm not sure if he's going to be mad at Brian Carter as y'all are at Arrowhead. Y'all ain't having the Outlaws next year. Y'all switched teams. Y'all went to high limit at Arrowhead. We can switch topics now instead of crying about the backgate people who need peanuts to survive with their little 305 and 2-barrel sprint car. But this is the big one. Y'all slapped Brian Carter in the face. I think Cody maybe influenced y'all.
Oh wow!
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But y'all have switched teams this year. Y'all had outlaw races or attempted to. I believe last year's was rained out and issues, but the year before y'all did have one. But now going forward, high limit. What's the situation around this switch in particular at Arrowhead going the high limit route?
So we've kind of been looking at the high limit deal anyway, because every time since Arrowhead's been open, if you run one of those other series, you don't make any money, and you sit there and look back like, how could you actually make everything work? It's to the point, like, if
Hold on,
it
what
was
are you
close
talking
to
about?
breaking
The grandstands were packed.
no,
What are
no,
you talking about? The
you're gonna make me
grandstands were
say it, aren't
packed with the World of Outlaws, and that is something that the Outlaws do. I do feel like the World of Outlaws on a consistent
you?
basis fill up the grandstands better than High Limit. I just do. And a lot of people say this. Heck, even the freaking Australian dude with the gators and stuff, or crocodiles. Sorry, no gators in Australia. He even said it. He came over here, worked with Rico, and he said the Outlaws still have the show. You know, the people, the events, there's still just on average more people at World of Outlaw events than High Limit, you know. So
When it
does
comes
that
to
matter though?
no,
Because y'all had a successful, from the outside looking in, y'all had a successful Outlaw show a few years ago, correct? There was a bunch of people in the grandstands, right? That's what matters.
when it comes to their shows, they put on. I mean, they put on a hell of a show. Even our late model deal, it was badass. It was killer. They've got all the people. They got the support. They put on the production, and it's great. Like, our fans loved it. The problem is you lose so much money. Where do you draw the line between having the exposure and being able to sustain that? The high limit business model makes complete sense for us. You know, high limit.
Hold on, you got to draw the line here. What are you talking about? Is it there's people in the state? Hold on, front gate shows. That's what a World Outlaw,
Yep.
a High Limit, a World Outlaw Late Mall, Lucas Oil Late Mall. Anytime you're paying, you know, I would say 60, 70,000 plus in a purse, which the Outlaw purse is way more than that, double than that. You're in a front gate business model at that point. That's how you have to think to make a business sense of the situation. Your track sold out with the World of Outlaws, and you're saying that loses money. Is that? And I've heard a lot of people say the partnerships with the Outlaws, you don't get to dip into the Dirt Vision profiteer side of things. Is that the big difference here? Because obviously, High Limit, I believe they have 3 packages they do with tracks. One of those options, and all of those options, include streaming revenue, whether they're putting it on, whether it's a mixed show or whether it's a sanctioned show. So you're saying, is that really where it's breaking up here? Is World of Outlaws don't offer some of that streaming revenue outside of butts in the seats, and High Limit does?
I mean, really, yeah. So we get to get a lot bigger piece of the pie. You know, when you stroke a check for almost 200 grand and you're sitting there hoping the rest of it comes together, and then you're looking in the stands like, oh yeah, they're full, and then you see the numbers at the end of the night. You're like, okay, how the hell can we make that up? It doesn't make sense to us. You know, we got invited to do it again, and we wanted to, you know, for the fans. But on the other hand, you start seeing all these other tracks closing around you at the same. This happened in the fall of this year. You see all these local tracks closing around you. You know, it's like, man, maybe we need to start being focused on running this a little tighter. You know, at some point, you do have to. You know, I know you stopped me last time, but you do have to draw the line between, you know, exposure and keeping your business rolling.
Well, I mean, I would assume that the High Limit exposure's floating with the Outlaw level. It may not be the same, but the more intriguing part about this discussion we're having right here about having an Outlaw race versus having a High Limit race is it sounds like there's not really a way to pay the full sanction fee, the purse and y'all don't have a small facility. How many people actually do sit in your facility? I'm assuming you have a head count. What's the number when that place is packed for like an Outlaw race?
I mean, spectator side, you're probably around, you know, 4,000 to 5,000 people on the spectator side and around 3,500 on the pit side.
Well, so, I mean, that's not bad. I would say that's above average when you consider the entire country. I would say that's about average when you consider potentially the top 20 facilities in the country. Around a 5,000 seating grandstand. Yeah, we have the Eldoras and the Knoxvilles and the Port Royals and the Williams Groves, but after you get past that, there's not too many high capacity facilities in the country. There just really isn't. So I'm just
Yeah.
trying to figure out. With your explanation, it sounds like if it's not the World of Outlaws or somebody doing one of the rent shows like they're used to, where they're rent shows, obviously they're going to get some profiteering from the Dirt Vision, funding, especially if they rent out a track and give concessions to the people who run it, for instance. But it doesn't sound like there's a logical way for a track, a normal track, even a decent, great facility like y'all with Sweets, to actually host a World of Outlaw race in 2026 and make money doing it. Actually host it the right way, which is pay the purse, pay the sanction fee.
Yeah, and for us, we love the shows, we love the drivers, we love that the fans love it, but it just doesn't make, it literally didn't make sense from the other end. And they had done that for the last 3 years. They went through that grinder, and it accepted it and just taking those losses. But at some point, you do have to stop, and it's not from not trying to make that deal happen, but it makes sense to do the high limit thing. We got good relationships with the ownership there, and we ought to get a good pull for the drivers. And then I think it'll benefit for King of the Wing too, because I think some of those guys are probably going to end up showing up to that too, which will be nice.
Well, I think what's going to happen here, which should have already been happening, I think situations like what you're explaining right now is going to force the hand of the World of Outlaws to come off some of that Dirt Vision money. If a partnership is so logistical with High Limit to have an event at most normal facilities, then I think that's the status quo. Maybe the Outlaws have a lot of racetracks that they do their little rental shows, and once again, they dip into their own back pockets with their Dirt Vision revenue, and it makes sense that way. I'm sure if your track or any of these tracks who was putting on shows like that was able to get a cut of some of that Dirt Vision money, then it would make sense. It does seem like the high limit model for the regular racetrack makes business sense, according to y'all. I mean, do you see what y'all signed up here with high limit being a losing scenario?
No, because we wouldn't have done it. If we thought it was going to be a losing scenario, we wouldn't have done it. I was completely against it. I was completely against I was the loudest voice on the late models not coming back, just because of just what it did to the business from the business side. It didn't make sense unless we can figure out how to make more money to fill that gap. Even if it loses a little, that's fine. But to lose what it didn't make sense, and the place was almost packed. It had nothing to do with the show, the drivers, because all of that killed it. It was awesome, one of the best shows we've had. But you gotta reel back at some point. And
what are the differences? I'm just curious for my own understanding, and a lot of people would want to hear this. I feel like a lot of tracks and people are listening to this. What is one of the main differences that does make a high limit show versus an outlaw show? What is the big difference that makes you more confident in signing that event versus the Dirt Vision route?
I mean, I can't tell you that.
You can't tell us? I mean, there is the 3 business models where there's some streaming. I'm assuming there's some streaming revenue that comes to the track in the deal?
I can't discuss any of the differences.
Oh, my. This is worse than Brian Carter. Okay, Darth Vader.
I knew you were going to try and reach into that one. That's the one I got to be real careful with.
Well, I would assume the deal you are getting is not some special deal. I would assume that anyone can get the same style of deal. I would assume, correct?
Sure.
Oh no, I feel like I'm talking to Spike right now. Sure. The soliloquies. I'm just curious. I mean, I know that there's a lot of racetracks and people debating this high limit outlaw thing, but at the end of the day,
alligator trying to pull the gazelle into the
well,
pond.
I'm just saying, at the end of the day, not everybody's Pennsylvania and these $1 billion places that could just host races however they want to. It's got to make business sense for a lot of these other racetracks where high limit's going to. So, or outlaws are going to. So, For there to be a significant difference that you're very, believing in, that means there has to be something, actually behind it to be that way. And I think more so than not that the business model is going to float to how High Limit's doing things more so than how the Outlaws are, is what I'm saying. And I think that
Yeah.
Outlaws are going to have to change a lot of things, even when it comes to paying the teams and the drivers. We had Logan Schuchart on here the other day, and it's like, Logan, don't you feel like a little off-putting that, if you decide to quit next year, you're just done? Whereas a high limit team or a franchise team, if they decide to quit next year, they have something that they've earned that they can sell that's a stake in the industry. I think
Yeah.
that the Outlaws are going to start having to do more things like high limit if they want to survive long term, so.
Yeah. I think High Limit is just more, I think it's more driver and track friendly, and that streaming company that we're aligned with, they're kind of the same way. Once they get in a profitable position, all that money, anything they make that goes in the black goes to the, it'll go to the tracks and the drivers. And I like that. I think that's cool. It's set up just to provide a service strictly.
Well,
So
and
if it starts making-
even though Ginger Kitty won't answer my phone, and I'm leaving him emails and stuff, I don't really have a
Answer
problem with
Justin.
y'all aligning with High Limit. I mean, it does say Kubota on there, but golly, I mean, they don't even make an agricultural tractor, for crying out loud. But the bigger problem with Arrowhead, I would
They're
have to say,
making M8. That's pretty good size.
I'm just saying, I mean, this is the big hitter right here is now you have the whole dirt racing world hating y'all because y'all are aligned with NASCAR. Why are y'all a NASCAR sanction track? Let's do this. Let's make you don't want to give up the dirt on the High Limit. We'll press you on the NASCAR subject. That's all right. So you hate Kenny Wallace.
Oh.
So you hate Kenny Wallace.
Here we go. Boy, this was good timing on the NASCAR deal, wasn't
Oh
it?
yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Y'all are right there. All right, Steve Phelps. So you agree that Richard Childress is a dumb redneck, sir?
So
Yeah. So
part of
explain
our
this
deal
one.
is-
Explain this one. Brian Carter's licking his lips now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you bringing this one up.
Oh.
So the big reason we ended up going NASCAR sanction, we weren't sanctioned last year, and there were a lot of drivers that really wanted to run for national points or series points or something like that, and they wanted some type of sanctioning. And NASCAR made the most sense, especially for some of our partners that wanted to align with us, because they're, that was strictly
Saudi money? Yeah. Okay, continue.
It was strictly sponsor based because nobody knows what any of these classes are if they're outside of racing. If they're outside of the racing circle, they don't know what IMCA is or USRA.
They don't know how to modify. Well, this is my biggest issue with racing is we have to really understand how people don't know what a sprint car is. Like, there's 12 million people in the world right now that believe, or in America right now that believe ghosts are real and like that alien lizard people run the country. There's only about 400,000 people who like the World of Outlaws Facebook page. So like we're a very unknown form of
it's a niche
society.
It's a niche group. It's a niche group, and we're all idiots, which is fine. But even guys in our circle, I get calls. So like when we ran World of Outlaw late models on our schedule, hey, are those the ones with the big wings on the top? I was like, oh my God, no. It's like, no, it's a late model.
You're lucky to get
model.
that. Most of the time you go and talk to normal people about dirt racing, they say dirt bikes.
No, these are the people calling into the track, though, to figure out, like, they're calling on our schedule. They're calling into the track. So,
wow,
you'll get those people, and I was like, this is bad. I don't even, they're not.
They're at least halfway there, though. They at least know of the Doom buggy with, tractor genes, which is a sprint car.
Yeah. But the big thing for the NASCAR alignment was getting partners that were set up, because anytime you align with them, they can use their logo for marketing and things like that, and they're familiar with it. That just helps just to make things go around. Now, the rule set the rule set's not a NASCAR rule set or anything like that. So I'm sure you're familiar with how the series work. So almost all of our rule sets are USRA anyway.
But why turn your back on the real patriotic Americans that run USRA and IMCA and go with the communist NASCAR China?
Oh, why are you doing this to me?
Why go with the big entity? Why not go with the little guys? What did they do wrong? Did you have
I
USRA
already told
or
you.
IMCA?
I just told you.
Well, but did you
I
already
just told
have USRA as a sanction before and it just didn't work
Yeah.
out? Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
what went wrong with
it just-
USRA?
It just didn't. It didn't work out for us, and the math wasn't right. So.
The math just ain't mathing.
So last year we weren't sanctioned at all, and it's been the biggest, points payout they've ever had. We paid out, at the banquet, I handed out 60 plus checks to drivers that were bigger than they'd ever seen at a banquet ever. And that was nice, but we still had this push where guys wanted to be sanctioned. They wanted to be sanctioned. Now, and here's what we're doing for a lot of our guys. So everybody that was in the top 10 in points for all of those series last year, we're taking care of the license, so they don't have anything out of pocket. So it's not going to cost these guys any more. They're still sanctioned. They still get the insurance and everything like that.
Okay, and what is some of the benefits to go at NASCAR? Is there does this NASCAR sanction have a regional, state champion, national champion? I mean, how many tracks are actually NASCAR sanctioned in dirt racing, or is it intermingled with the asphalt racing?
There's actually quite a bit in our area, and you can run for regional and national points depending on what class your car is. So we run on Friday nights, but there's a track Salina runs on Saturday nights. They can run both of those, and they can start stacking up points, and they can qualify for national points, and end up getting a championship that way too. They might end up in Charlotte for a banquet.
Okay, that's a little different. How
it's
is
not?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, how is the state of racing down there in that area? Obviously, Port City has everything going on. 81 Speedway has always been a pretty good facility and racing hub. Lakeside, I would assume Lucas Oil is trying to do a lot of different things in that area to boost their sprint car presence. Obviously, they have their late model shows that do very well. And y'all are up there, northeast Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, southeast. It's just like a little corridor. How tough is it to actually put shows on and have somewhat of a presence for dirt track racing down there? Because like I said, I was only able to really name off 4 premier facilities. I know you got Creek County, Tulsa Speedway, some of these more regional, local, weekly tracks, but as far as a presence, you almost have to come, with a facility like 81, with a facility like yours, Lakeside, Lucas Oil, and there's only so many in that whole entire region.
Yeah. No, we grind at it. There are some tracks that are struggling, and we've had even this past year, we had a couple weekends that were off, and we've sat down there and looked through the schedule like, hey, where did we screw up? Why weren't these car counts there? But then we'd randomly have a huge car count 3 weeks in a row, and we didn't do anything different. So what's going on there? And so we have Northwest Arkansas, it's a huge metropolitan area. It's grown, I think, 60 to 80% in the last 10 years. And, we're right in between there and Tulsa. Tulsa's the breeding ground here for all your open wheel guys. What Shane's got going over there at Port City, half those guys are probably in that OCRS deal.
Yeah, that has been, I don't know, a blessing and a curse, the rise of micro racing there. I feel like it's a class once you get into the A class that you can race almost for as much money as a sprint car, though. That's kind of like the double-edged sword. You know, you see career drivers in the micro ranks.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you can spend more money on these micros than you can some of these 305 cars, and that's why so many guys end up making the jump. But like you said, there's these career guys that end up landing in micros. But hell, Frank Flood, perfect example. He would do anything if somebody showed up with some money, he'd probably hop into anything.
Yeah, you got a lot of guys around there like that. Joe B. Miller comes to mind as well,
Yeah. I mean, then it turns into the money thing, and then it gets into, you start getting close to that level where you start creeping up there. That system starts to get real broke, and then it's the guys that got all the money. I mean, almost 100% of those guys got to have money coming from somewhere to make something happen.
Right.
And that stuff, I mean, what do you think? Probably last 10, 15 years, that's been required. You had to have money or dedication before that anyway. But I think the last 10 to 15 years, it's an absolute requirement regardless of talent.
Oh, for sure. It's a big problem in motorsports. It's a reason it's not considered a sport, Nobody's coming from, going to college and getting a degree and then earning, people underestimate how much expendable income, not money to save up and get a house or, get married or have kids, but you have to have, even to run a 305 or 360, or we'll say minimum to run a 410 operations, $500,000 to do it right, locally, regionally. I mean, that takes a lot of money, and it would take you a lot of time. That's why I always say, like, you could have a guy just as talented as Kyle Larson. He just could be 30 or 35 years old because it took him 15 years to earn the money to actually be able to get out there,
I mean, that's a Josh Berry example. He's considered an old man in the Cup level and got lucky to get a shot because he happened to know Dale Jr.
Right, and he had raced for years on local asphalt racing. Even local 305 racing, it's affordable, but, I mean, it's not like you could do a payment plan on these race cars. I mean, when you go to buy a chassis, it's cash. When you go to buy a motor, it's cash. When you go to get you could at least get the trailer and the truck on a lease, but all these other things are cash transactions. There's not a lot of people with $20,000, $40,000, $30,000 in cash to just throw on parts to build a team.
Yeah, and that's still a lot. I mean, you got to be, these days, you got to be an absolute freak just to even stand out, and you got to get lucky to get your shot, and I don't know, what is a kid that's, he doesn't have carte blanche. What does he do?
I mean, this is my argument with the Larson deal. I mean, I know I don't know how much you know of this, but it's like, this is still the person who was sponsored by Parker Stars at 6. I mean, yeah, he didn't come from money, but money and opportunity came to him at a very young age. And if that money and opportunity doesn't come to him at a very young age, he's running the World Outlaws. He's David Gravel right now. I mean, yeah, he had to have talent, but a lot of people have talent. I mean, yeah, he has some really good ones, and there's some that have really good ones. I mean, honestly, Buddy Kofoid didn't do anything different than Kyle, except opportunities came, really. I mean, and that's, the unfortunateness. That's, and I was in my interview with Tony Stewart. That's why I said, how old were you when you were a NASCAR young gun? He said 28. 28. That makes sense. Like, if we could get back to that time period where you weren't considered a bust in motorsports until you were 28 or 30 or 32, then we might have some logistical opportunity to define talented drivers and non-talented drivers, because at least you'd have some years to, either win, lose, or build capital to be able to become something. But as long as we're in this motorsports world where we're judging it like football or basketball, and if you're 25 in a 305 sprint car, you're a scrub. No, you just finally had enough money to get a 305 for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the heroes of the sports. You know, as far as motorsports, look at all the heroes and look how many times they did it, failed, and then they finally got it figured out and they got rolling. Then the money kind of came along. You don't have that liberty now.
Right. Yeah, if you're not a 410 sprint car star or on your way to Cup with a, development deal at 21 or 22, you're a left behind nobody. You're not good enough. You're washed up.
And let's be fair, I mean, Ross Chastain, for example, he's not where he's at without having all this other money behind him by being able to buy these other rides to continue to keep putting himself in position multiple times when some of these guys just get one or two shots. You know, David got a couple shots on a truck, and that was about it. And that was during COVID area.
I point out David Gravel's performance in the truck. I mean, never being in a Cup car or asphalt vehicle, especially at a big track. He went to Michigan. This is not a short fucking track. Yeah. This is like one of the most technical high-speed racetracks in the world. Yeah. David Gravel got out there, qualified 12th, and finished 10th with no practice. COVID year, wearing a fucking mask in the car. You know, he couldn't even eat McDonald's because they dropped Kyle when he said the N-word. I mean, this is how bad it was at that time. I mean, he had to eat Subway with Carl Edwards. That worked out for Kyle. With Carl Edwards. Look at Carl Edwards. He was like, what, 30 when he got into NASCAR? I mean, there's another one.
No, he wasn't that old.
He wasn't that young.
He got in the truck pretty young.
Well, I mean, but, I'm just saying, like, we definitely in racing need to get off the nutsack of like 18-year-old success or 16. I don't care that a kid's 14 and he won a sprint car race. I more so have respect and want to give my attention to the 28-year-old guy who worked his ass off for 10 years since he's 18 to build enough capital to get into a 360 and is finally winning, or a 305 and is winning. That's more respectable.
Yeah. But, I mean, how do you fix it at the same time? Because, I can go have somebody sponsor me, and I can go hop in an ARCA car, and I can go wreck half the field at the race at Daytona if I have somebody give me enough money. And I have no business being in that. I'm not qualified at all,
But why do I feel like it seems like you're pointing out Cletus McFarland. Sounds like you're going after Cletus right now.
No, Elio.
That's a good example. I mean, Elio is the word. Well, at least you're talking about somebody who's won the Indy 500. We're not some guy on YouTube driving souped-up trucks,
I'm just saying it's just proof that you can just go get an ARCA ride with money. You can go get a truck ride with money with no qualifications.
This is true. I would give more qualifications to Elio. He can dance. I don't know how many qualifications I would give to Cletus McFarland. That would be or a lot of these guys. I mean, let's be honest, a lot of these guys. I mean, there's iRacers.
I know for a fact that a couple ARCA guys couldn't race Daytona and Talladega because they hadn't ran laps in a Cup car and they didn't qualify. But Elio shows up and he looks like he works for Wendy's. And then all of a sudden, he gets to just start, and then on top of that, he ends up getting in the Daytona 500 too. That makes zero sense to me.
Well, I mean, NASCAR is struggling for attention. I mean, they're falling. I think, their fiascos they got going on right now is only beneficial to the dirt track racing world. I think it's an opportunity, honestly. I feel like, as much as we could bitch about them, their style issues have slowly bled into ours, That's why I reference 305 or 360 guys, because Just like we could say David Gravel didn't have NASCAR opportunity. Well, 305 guy down the street didn't have David Gravel opportunity. It's just a lower price bracket to be that guy. But we're still talking about millions of dollars, no matter which way you look at it, of opportunity. But you could just add another zero at the end of the check,
The other thing The other thing is, once you get that money, it still doesn't make sense though. Like even an Xfinity level, I was with one of the drivers' dads in Daytona at the bar at the airport, and he showed me the tire bill and what they got paid and all this stuff. It made 0 sense. They lost money, and that's just off tire bill. That's not trucking the stuff down. Nothing, no fuel. He showed me just their tire bill from Goodyear, and then what they got paid at the end of the night.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's more like, NASCAR is more like music and movies, except those guys get paid still. It's really a zero investment thing. You're literally buying status. It's like buying a yacht. It's just to say you do it, really. And then my issue is that it's manipulated to the population. Here's my problem, and everyone with a local racetrack should be concerned about this. The problem is that it's manipulated to the population like a professional level, and the problem with that is most people show up to watch something based on respect. Everybody will go to the NFL, but they won't go to some, AAA arena football game. And it's because the guys at the local arena football game are viewed as sub-talented individuals. They had their shot. They just must not be good enough. And I think that ideology gets placed onto racing. When they see a 25-year-old get out of your sprint car in victory lane, they ain't like us. They ain't like, in the industry. They don't know any better. They're just like, well, that guy must have failed in the imaginary high school or college of motorsports, and he's not NASCAR. He's a AAA football guy, and that's just not the case. So it degrades.
Well, and that's where
it degrades the respect of our talent and our driver and our product, technically, with what they do as well on the media platforms.
Yeah. Well, and if you go even back to the ARCA thing, if that was right, you're not going to watch the Gibbs and Venturini cars run first through sixth, and then some other guy be 14 seconds slower behind them. That guy's probably not that bad. It's just strictly a difference in the cars.
100%. The greatest example of that is Kyle Larson. The Ganassi ride to the Hendrick ride. He only won 6 races in 6 years. Some people thought he wasn't good enough. He gets into a Hendrick car, sets the world on fire.
You talked about the COVID thing.
Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you talked about the COVID thing. I was like, that's the best thing that ever happened to him, because he ended up getting in a Hendrick ride.
I think it was halfway planned. We documented it on the show the other night. Pro Sport Management Group. How do you have
he didn't plan
how do you have the white guy from the right wing dirt world, say the N-word, and then you have the black guy kneeling, and you on an election year during COVID? And Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson are on the same management group. The same, it's blatant. Come on. They're Illuminati. They're vampires.
You're getting into waters I don't want to swim in.
Okay, Candace. That's fine. Okay, Candace.
Oh.
What do you mean?
Damn.
Oh, what are you talking about? It's all right if you're an Egyptian spy. You can tell us now. You're trying to take on the Amish. I get it.
Anyway,
the Amish and PA are gonna come after you.
Yeah, you did that the other night, and I went, oh damn.
Well, I don't care. The Amish can come to Oklahoma. Y'all got the natives on y'all side. They're fucked.
No, we got Amish.
It doesn't matter. The stranglehold of the tribe life. The tribunal. Hey, the tribunal will fuck them Amish up, buddy. It's true. It's true. You're being quiet now because now you're scared. You're like, oh, shit, he knows. Garth Brooks.
No, my wife's Indian. I know exactly.
Garth Brooks and the Freemasons. Their hub's right there. Oh God, he
You
went
made me
quiet.
Google this later, and I hate
Oh no. Oh, the Knights Templar.
it.
The Knights Templar showing up.
No.
Oh no, and you're right there on the Arkansas border too. Hot Springs. There's more than one meaning to that phrase.
No, Hot Springs, that's 3-4 hours away.
There's distance in between, right? Guess what else is 3 or 4 hours away from you?
But
Lucas Oil Speedway in Wheatland, Missouri. Yeah, Wheatland. There's a code message in this. I'm just saying.
Okay. You're getting too deep in the weeds right now.
No, wheat and gluten is fine. Anyway. No.
One of the other things I was going to tell you that was on my mind before I forget, you were talking about, the system being broken and you had to bring money and all this stuff. Do you remember a couple years ago when they were running the trucks at Bristol and Joey Logano ran? And at that time, he was a 2-time champion. He still had to bring money.
Yeah.
He still had to bring money to a truck race.
As a 2-time champion, yep. And I remember him pointing that out and saying, how does this happen? How does that work? It doesn't make sense.
That doesn't, and regardless of whether you like him or not, you still have a 2-time Cup champion wanting to drive a truck for you. If I'm the owner, I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and do it. No, you still need to bring the money. And
it's rich people.
Insane.
It's NASCAR's rich people go-karts. It's rich people go-karts. It's basically what it is. It's like going to your local K1, and instead of it being $5 for 5 minutes, it's $5 million for 500 laps. That's what it is.
Hey, you want to know who my local K1 is?
Oh no, not that guy, not Bubba.
What?
Oh no.
Buster.
Oh no, Bubba and oh no.
That's my local K1.
Oh no, Rogers. How far is Rogers from y'all?
30 minutes.
Oh no. At least I know where I have to go next year. Oh no.
I got you.
The 20K is where to be, you're saying. So
I think we kind of covered everything. Yeah, I think we kind of covered everything, though. Unless you had any more questions or you want to pin me in the corner with World Racing Group or NASCAR anymore.
I don't think you're going to answer them honestly anymore. I think now that we brought up the Amish and the tribunal, you're shutting down. And Candace Owens.
Oh.
Candace got brought up. Do you believe what happened in Utah, sir? Is that real?
I'm not getting into that.
Oh my God. All right, Tucker.
Hey,
That's
I
fine.
still got a track and a series to mess with. I'm not putting my toes in that water.
Okay. That's fine. I'll let you go then.
Hope you're feeling better.
I mean, we've had a few beers. It's a Saturday night. I feel the views are a little low, but it's a Saturday night. People are watching the races. But
listen, don't let this distract you from the fact that Hector's going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines, and on top of that, he just went into Harry's and bought 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec system exhaust. Other than that, I think we're okay.
Okay. That was good. That was the best response so far. Definitely proof that you're a part of Mossad. Definitely proof you're a part of Mossad. Have you heard of the Garth Brooks is an undercover serial killer theory? Have you heard of this?
Is this part of the Two Bears thing?
No. It's a real thing. If you go look into it, there's a lot of unsolved mysteries from back in the 80s, and they're all around the same time periods that a Garth Brooks concert was in the area for the year. This is a real thing. Sean's laughing. There's a bunch of unsolved murders in the I believe it's from 1988 to like 92, and they're all unsolved murders that happened at the same time period as a Garth Brooks concert. So the theory is that Garth Brooks is actually a serial killer. It's huge. It's a big deal out there. It's like he's a protected guy, like Candace.
Okay.
I'm,
This is not the way I saw this going.
well, I'm just.
I thought we were doing race car stuff.
It is race car stuff. Illuminati.
I know you like your Illuminati stuff, though.
It's the truth. I mean, we looked into Spire Motorsports and the Saudis the other night. I don't know if you know about this, but sports washing. I had no idea. But
Okay.
he's trying to
No,
say
that was actually the first time I heard sports washing.
But it's true. It's a real thing. It makes sense too. That's what I'm saying. Is it crazy conspiracies, or is it just like, yeah, I get it. I mean, we got the Epstein list, but nobody's going to jail. Who cares? You know.
I would love to align with Aspire if they can help us.
Oh my God!
Accomplish our
You'll
goals.
accept the sports washing. Okay. Okay. Wow. You did say your wife was a part of was Indian, so I think we're starting to figure it out. There's more than just one. I think we figured out what you're doing here with your 25,000 and your high limit. You know, you're sports washing. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'm kidding. Okay.
I like it.
So you're going to be at PRI.
When are you guys coming down here?
You're going to be at PRI.
We'll be at PRI. So
who is going to be at PRI?
We'll be
Arrowhead or OCRS, or is it all together now?
Okay, so I'm gonna have representatives from Arrowhead, OCRS, Comp Cams, and Aerovision. They'll be there.
Will y'all have a booth, or will you be just walking around?
No, we're walking around meeting with. We just acquired 3 or 4 more sponsors this week, and we're gonna go meet with them face to face, lock some stuff up, and then that stuff will get announced too.
Okay, cool. I mean,
we might come to you too if we get bored.
I plan on being around. I do plan on being around. I got my drunk text on while I was deer hunting one night, and I told Tony Stewart via text that just ignore me. I'll see you at PRI, bitch. And so I'm worried about that interaction. If there is a fight between me and Tony Stewart, I didn't do it. I'm just standing up for Candace. But at the end of the day, no, I'm just kidding. Complete joke. But no, PRI will be interesting. I haven't been in like 3 years. I'm kind of picking between Gateway or PRI, and I'm picking PRI. I already have my media credentials all settled and fiddled out. So, and I'm planning to do some deals with some people, trying to do some stuff for 2026. So yeah, I'll probably see you there. It's an interesting event. I mean, I know the hotels are a little, expensive in that area. Going and being in Indianapolis for a few days is somewhat costly, I would say. And then also, I mean, it's really not a Saturday event, really. You can go there, Thursday, Friday. It's a 4-day. I believe it's Wednesday through Saturday. But come Saturday, most people are heading out. So.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Well, yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah,
sorry.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah. Most people, from my understanding, have
We're
always
flying in Wednesday night, but
yeah, it's just a Thursday, Friday main event. Like Saturday is kind of like everybody's winding down and packing up. That's what I've always been told, at least.
Yeah, our hotel connects to the convention center, so if you need somebody to cuddle with you, let me know and I'll find you one.
I am messaging you right now. Hopefully, you have a pull-out couch. Oh no, I might need bail money. That's the problem, Okay. Well, I guess we'll let you go.
Quick.
Yeah, we got to let you go. It's happening now. Anyway. Right. Well, thanks for calling. I think right, you enjoyed coming on.
It, and then,
I think you enjoyed coming on. I'm not sure. But that's life, right? We never know what's going to happen next.
No, I like it. I knew what I was getting into, and I think we answered most of the questions.
Well,
Not the
you
good ones you wanted
ignored,
me to
you
answer,
ignored the high
but-
limit, Brian Carter questions, the things that matter. But yeah, outside of that, it was fine. Yeah.
I mean, my
I
lights
don't
are
think
still on,
Brian
so
Carter
I
and
didn't
them are
answer
gonna like.
wrong,
I don't think
so.
Brian Carter and them will like you anyways. You're threatening their new baby they bought called ASCS, in my opinion. I mean, that's your only true threat as far as series is concerned.
We're not threatening ASCS. They're a different level.
I mean, what, like 3 guys are? I mean, they don't really have much to like toot their horn about. Personally, I mean, what are they proud about right now? I mean, what's their showcase? I don't know what ASCS is.
We're just trying to take care of our guys. We just want to pay our guys. So.
Right. Well, I can understand why ASCS guys are inquiring with y'all, though. I mean, it makes sense, and maybe y'all schedule works out for them as well. Y'all don't have no mulligans or anything. It's all about perfect attendance, correct?
No. There's. Are you talking about for the free entry?
No. To contend for the championship, that would be the only issue for an ASCS guy to run with y'all is if it collaborated.
No. You run like 90%, so you get. No, you run like 90%, so you can miss a few races.
Okay. Wow. So you may actually
the perfect attendance thing. The perfect attendance thing only aligns with them not having to pay an entry fee.
Right. So do y'all have, when you say 90%, do you have like you can miss X amount of races or only X amount counts towards the championship?
Correct. No, you can miss X amount of races. So, you're not going to know until rainouts happen or anything like that.
Okay. It's going to be interesting to see.
Our schedule's out. It's live. The schedule's on the website. Everything's on there.
Well, and it's pretty simplistic to attend, too. Like I said, it's only 23 dates. It's not 90. It's not 60. It's not 47. It's 23, so...
Yeah.
I think there's definitely some opportunity there that if you have an ASCS guy there or a local regional 410 guy even, why not go run them, see what you can do, so anyways, yeah.
I think that's where it kind of made sense. That's where it made sense on that 20,000 to win race by starting the season off with it to where people could pop in and do it.
Nice. Definitely different and a different approach, and I like it. So we'll see at PRI. We'll see about that first race date. I think it'll be interesting to see what the other series do on that day, same weekend. And thanks for calling in and talking about this Arrowhead OCRS, this place, this area that's trying to build up. That is near the K1 Speed Rogers facility. That's interesting. I didn't know it was that close.
Oh, you just looked it up. You didn't even know. I'm going to tell Buster. He's going to be upset.
Hey, he has been trying to get me to come to Arrowhead when he first did the deal with the show. But nothing was lining up at that time of the year. And then I was like, well, what about Lucas Oil? And he's like, well, Lucas Oil's 3 hours away. And then I was like, oh, okay. So I didn't know. He said it was close. I didn't know it was that close.
We're building him an Interceptor, so you can come out there and crash it one night.
Oh, what do you mean an Interceptor? Like a actual vehicle? Like an actual police vehicle?
We have an Interceptor class. He's getting one.
Oh, no. I'll come out and run a race. I've been known to race. This has happened before. That would be... So what is it? Is it like those, the 4.8s or whatever, or whatever, the cop stocks?
4.6.
6, yes, 4.6. The cop stocks. I always like the name cop stocks. I thought that was always a sly label for that division. But you're calling them Interceptors.
Yeah, I don't like cop.
Okay.
They're
of course
Interceptors
you don't.
because they're police Interceptors. That's the name of the vehicle.
Okay. And do y'all race in an Interceptor style? Like, do you have one team tries to go out there and run over the other, or what happens there?
No. No,
That would be very
I'm not going
entertaining.
into this. I know where we're going.
That would be very entertaining if you did a team. You did a team aspect where, say, you had like, 12 cars, and you had 6 guys be like the lead pack, and then you had 6 guys. They did this in New Zealand. It's actually a thing. I think it's called pursuit races, and you have over there they do it with 4 people per team, but you'll pick one guy from each team to be like the runner, and then the other guys are called like the chasers, or y'all could call them the interceptors. And basically, it's the job of the runner to win the race. But you have 3 or 2 or whatever, how many other teams out there of 3 people trying to crash the other team's runner as they're trying to come around and complete the race. It's actually pretty entertaining in New Zealand. It's different, but it is entertaining. I went to Meridian, Idaho this year to an asphalt race, and they did a weird thing with their mini stock division where they had a chicane they put on the back straightaway, and they made the guys do the chicanes. And then the promoter mid-race came out there and threw the barrels of, the big 50-gallon barrels of water for a barrier. He came out there, opened the lid, and poured the water onto the racetrack mid-race just to fuck them up. It was pure entertainment value. But it worked. I mean, I was thoroughly enjoyed or entertained. So I mean,
it's a cops and robbers vibe.
Yeah, it is that's actually the best way to spin that class up. Make it an entertainment class. I think it's a good idea.
Okay. Well, you're going to make me accidentally destroy that thing next year then.
Okay. I'll come out. You can be the intercept. We could be the chasers, and Buster can be out there wrecking us.
I like it.
Anyway, I know you got to go. It's been a while. You've been here for
All
almost
right,
an hour and a half.
I'll let you get rolling.
Okay. Well,
you guys having me on.
Thanks for coming in and showing your PA supremacy on the show today. And hopefully everything works out with the series there.
Oh, wow.
What?
All right. See you, man. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
No, there he was. Robert Lee, ladies and gentlemen, onto the show. His middle name does not begin with an E, so we're safe. Into the web. What was the chat saying? Is the chat even there, Sean? Are they even? It's slow. Eric in here talking to himself. Oh, God. Anyway, that was the show there with Robert Lee, OCRS series director down there, Arrowhead race director. They got a lot of things going on. I like it. I do like it. They'll be at PRI. We'll be at PRI. Am I going to Gateway? Not sure just yet. Should I go? I don't know. Saturday night at the Dome is very entertaining. Of course, tonight you got Turkey Night going on. They're just past heat races. What are they? Are they in the heat races, Sean, or no? Where are they at? Fence repair. Oh, typical midget racing. Anyways, thanks, Robert Lee, for joining. We'll hopefully be able to put this out to our different platforms, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, our main platforms here with Long Live the Chaz. And some good information there. The interesting part, going high limit versus the World of Outlaws, a lot of business decisions happening there. That's different. That's entertaining. That is speculative because he didn't want to give up the reasons as to why. But it's okay. That's how business deals work. Not everyone has to know. Not everyone has to know. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. We will catch y'all next time. Be sure to subscribe. And yeah, thanks, Robert, for tuning in. And we'll be trying to get these shows rolling out at a better time. Obviously, Saturday night's not the best. But, hey, the information lasts forever now because it was recorded. Catch you next time, ladies and gentlemen.
As long as we make the show, we can be the best or we can be the worst. So we can be the best like you ever heard. With the motor singing and the grandstands ringing, it's hard to is out.